Satan, Lucifer, Belial, Leviathan, Samael.
Winter Laake is a satanic philosopher and author of 10 books. He is the founder of the Sanctum of the Morning Star, which is located in Ohio. The Lucifer-Alive-Lexicon is the doctrine of the Sanctum of the Morning Star. Winter is also a screenwriter with 30 screenplays to his credit. He's also a purveyor of satanic, occult, witchcraft inculcations. The foreword for his book, The Satanic Paradigm, was written by Stanton LaVey, the grandson of Anton LaVey. He has evolved his practice of black magic through a lifetime of trial and error. Throughout much of his modern doctrine, equates that mankind is inherently evil, and thus man is as wicked as the world in which he lives. Welcome, everyone. This is Aleister Nacht. Tonight I have a wonderful guest. I've wanted him on the show for a long time. I'm a big fan of his work. He's an author. He's also a script writer, and he does a lot of different work. We're going to talk about that work. We're going to talk about his temple up in Ohio as well. So please join me in welcoming Winter Laake. Winter, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're kind of like Venus Satanas. You're a legend in the left-hand path. You're one of those people who has been there, seen it. You've interacted with a lot of interesting individuals, and we're going to talk about that tonight as well. But how long have you been on the left-hand path?
I've been on the left-hand path since I was about 5 years old. 5 years old is when I started to have intuitions, psychic premonitions, prescience, providence, a lot of odd experiences, encounters with alien entities, a lot of other things that went on in my childhood, which could not be explained at the time. And they continued with great strength and still to this day continue. So the ride is not stopped.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So how did you come to be on the left-hand path? What was the path that you used to actually lead you into the path?
I was always interested in like the old writers of as I grew older as a teenager, then I started to explore the writers of Lord Byron, who was a Satanist, and his odd daughter. He had a very strange daughter that did some writings as well, and so did Dashwood of the Hellfire Club. And I've been following Gardner, and just the line. I mean, there was just a line of different writers from the Romantic period all the way up. Even Aleister Crowley. He very much was involved. I mean, it was a research and a study in philosophy. I have a background in philosophy, so it was also Machiavelli very much so. And it was just the left hand path just conglomerated with all of these different things, whether it was the exploration of the Roman Empire, Nero, uh, all of it was encompassed. And then also the moderns like LaVey or, even Anne Sexton the poet, or going back into the Romantic period, Aleister Crowley, of course, as I mentioned, but also, you had Baudelaire, who wrote Les Fleurs du Mal, which is the flowers of evil, and all of these different types of individuals that just played a role and drew me in and kept me on the same. And they still, to this day, keep me on that same line. So that's how I came to the path. The path kind of finds you. I mean, you can look for it. You can look for it under a rock or a tree or run around and under the moonlight and hope it comes. But it will come if it wants to find the person. The person will be the one struck by lightning, and it will stay with you for your life. It becomes a lifestyle mechanism. You know, black magic tests the mettle of the black magician. It's not a safe road. It usually wipes out about 60 to 70% of the patrons who really are into it. Now, a lot of black magic or people today are watered down into neurosis and really find it to be a fad. So, you know, black magic, they're into it for 10 minutes and then next they're, and I've said this before, they're into dragons or something. You know, for me, it's never been a fad. It's always been solid. It's always been very much in tune. And it's something more that vibrates in the spectrum of our reality. It's not something that is like the ghost in the closet or, you know, it appears at a certain time. It is an energy that flows in dark matter and it flows throughout the entirety of our universe. It's not just confined to the terrestrial space we exist. Satan and Lucifer, to me, are energy. It's an energy pattern, and they can manifest into anything they want. And it's a they or a them or a one. It's all legion, you know. And it's this energy pattern is something that flows within the stomata of our very existence of blood and everything within our flesh and our, you know, for us as practitioners, it becomes the very essence of our existence. I've always felt that mankind is created evil. All men are created evil. I've never found that on this wicked world, you know, we attempt to strive to be good. We strive to have altruism. We want to be, you know, the little Pied Piper under the tree playing the little flute. Well, the raiders are going to come and they're going to turn the flute on and they're going to jam it down your throat. The world will beat you in the head, and it's a matter of how many times you can take your hits and keep up and keep going. But you've got to have black magic power in order to survive, to bend the reality to your will, to turn your $10 into $10 million, you know, to make things really manifest in your reality. And words have power and words have repercussions. You know, you've got to be careful with that as well. Not you, I'm talking in a general space, that nothing is pointed at you as a person, Aleister. I'm just talking in a general space that people have to also be careful with what they say and how they say things, if they are in this practice. You know, a friend of mine kept saying recently, "Oh, you're going to be in a wreck. You're going to be in a wreck." I'm like, please stop saying that, right? I have not been in a wreck, but guess what? That person was suddenly in a wreck. You know, but you're invoking it yourself when you keep saying it and you're rambling on and on. You know, you people have to realize that when they're around a black magic practitioner like us, and we take ourselves very seriously, you have to kind of really walk a line because there's always a danger factor to it. You know, life is not a guaranteed thing in this terrestrial space. It is extremely dangerous and it could go off at any time. Our life could fail or something within this existence could fail. It's very fragile.
I like the way you describe that and explain that. And I think my viewers are going to resonate with that as well because it's something that people don't say as much as they should. The words are powerful. You know, we have people speaking to us or at us all day long and 90% of it is bullshit. But 10% of it is real important, or for the practitioner that really doesn't understand black magic, it's power that they have no idea that they're releasing into the realm. So thank you for explaining that. That's powerful. Powerful.
It's putting juju on people. It's like, in New Orleans,
Yeah.
it's the old trick. The old trick is to say someone is cursed even though they're not, and then they get cooked up and start believing they're cursed, and then they have to pay to get the curse off, which is all psychosemantic. But it's very dangerous, and words do have power. And there's also power words like nefrekata or abracadabra. I mean, there are real power words, but I mean words of intention that are being, as you said, projected upon us by other people who are practitioners, but they're being negative. The negative is an obvious thing. We know the sky is falling. We know the earth is dying. We know the population is exploding. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me the problem solved, or tell me something new under the sun. You know, there's so many of these people that are just, I'm stuck in atheism, or I'm stuck in my hole, or this or that. It's all just a circle, a rat in a cage, and it's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a self-imposed prison. It absolutely is.
Mhm.
And many people want to break free of that. They're, I don't want to say too lazy, but they don't want to invest in what it takes to break free of that. They don't want to dig deeper and think, you know, and look at questions that they can't answer. So that's wonderful. So tell us about your path, your practice, and your beliefs.
Well, my left-hand path is not the ordinary left-hand path for, in a conglomerated sense. It's definitely not like a temple of Satan that is only atheistic, that is hollow as a plastic cup, that is no variance with it other than saying Hail Satan and I'm a political action group. I have no interest in that. So I'm definitely not interested in political action or politics or the nihilism and the the death's head of atheism. What I am, and aside from that, is very much at one with the somatic energy of satanic power flowing in our universe. I am at one with the Luciferian current that is throughout the entirety of many other dimensions of existence. And this is a flowing force. I'm 1 foot already away from outside of our reality, and it's right there. So I can literally, with my mind's eye, connect myself into this space and see so much and understand and comprehend so much. And it has very little to do with our little tawdry terrestrial space, because this place is very simplistic, and it is important to survive, and survival's a part of that, but it's also how you want to survive. I live a very refined, luxurious life. I also live a very refined life of mystery. My life has been very much something that I made my own way, you know, to having the power to do what I want to do, not have to answer to anybody, having a lot of financial means to do whatever I want to do. If I want to buy a 200-year-old church and set up a sanctum, I'll do it. Or if I want to travel around the world, I'll do it. And having the ability to do that. I have clients and people from all over the world, and they rely on me a great deal. And I'm very much connected into corporate reality and corporate investing. I do a lot of that and making, money go from 25% to 150%, and my friends are very much aligned with that. I have a very much a country club lifestyle existence. But I do not wear Satanism on my sleeve. I'm very secretive about it, even though I am very much in the public eye. And it has a lot to do with the power of manifestation and the ability to glamour that I have. It has a lot to do with the abilities in the magical spectrum that I have being able to manipulate reality and bend it to my will and psychically affect other people and bring them into through influencing and so on. It's very much Machiavellian. You could call it a little bit selfish. It can be very dangerous. You definitely want to be careful. It's kind of beyond self worship, and it definitely is accepting of other outside forces that exist. As a lot of people in this path, they're just wearing cosplay. They want to play dress up, and they want to say, "Oh, I'm a Satanist and I've got my black robe on and I run around in the backyard and it's just fun and games." They're not taking anything serious. They don't want to really take it serious because they're so scared of hell. Like hell exists, like there's a place in hell. And actually hell does not exist. But there are many different types of hells that one can be placed into if they're too weak. And that's where these people fall into the design of it. They fall into hells because they're enslaved by other powers that are greater than themselves. They haven't prepared their physical ability and their physical power to accept death and to understand what death does, or the first 45 minutes of death, what you're supposed to do, and that maybe in death, light is a deception. A lot of that is something I've been exploring recently is near death experiences, and they all have something in common. They see this great light, if that's even true, you know. But I have had my own near death experiences, and they're quite different, um, very much different, and it has nothing to do with hell. It has everything to do with negotiation and maintaining your own power and your own manifested abilities within that space. And I know I'm deviating, I'm talking about many things, but this is some of what's incorporated into my path.
That's very powerful and very interesting. And I have a lot of respect for you for what you have done with the Sanctum of the Morning Star. Can you explain to our viewers what that is and how that came about?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years ago, on really a whim, it was something that kind of drilled into my head. There were forces that were coming at me, telling me that something needs to be left behind, something needs to be solid, something needs to be a physical space, brick and mortar on the planet Earth for the Sanctum of the Morning Star. So I bought a place that had always been used for magic, and I just paid it off. There's no mortgage, and then licensed it with the government. The government, I don't know, they just didn't. I have to say, immediately stamped it like confirmed. Like they confirmed it as a as an organization that is tax exempt and accepted as a working religious ideological space within the United States government. So that was huge, and that paper sits on the wall. It's been framed and it's on the wall at one of our locations. I actually have now three separate locations, but two of them are secret. The one that is known about is in Ohio. It's a beautiful old church space, and the other two are as well, but they're very secret, and the people that attend are very they they want to remain almost in a secret society. We don't just take everyone. It's not just like you can go on the website and pay some money, print a card, and be a member. You have to be vetted. Your background has to be looked at. We have to see if you're a person that is something that would actively want to get involved in the space. You can't just sit on your laurels. It's not just something you join and then nothing happens. It's actually some of your attendance is required, and then for some people, that's a lot of work and you got to have the time. And we've already had members that have fallen away, that have said, hey, I'm sorry I can't attend. And say, well, you're kind of revoking yourself because, in the get go, for this is an active working organization, and we may have rituals certain times of the year that you'll be, required to attend. And it's not that I'm like king guru founder per se. I am the person with the money, ability, power, founder, so on. I am, but I'm also not wearing it like I'm the big pontiff, king, dude, ruler of the sanctum. I want everyone to be the big king, dude, ruler of the sanctum. Okay, I want 25 of me. I want 50 of me. I want 100 of me. People into that level, like yourself, Alistair, people you know, who are willing to say, hey, I made this cool rod and we can put it in one of the sanctums and we can use it. Like one guy builds altars and he's like, I'm going to do this altar and so on. And my friend who died, H.R. Giger, was even going to get involved. And because I had been discussing it years before even his death. I was like, oh, if I ever had a space, and he's like, well, I'd make stuff for it and he left some stuff for me in his, and then some of original H.R. Giger work hangs in the sanctum, and it's been interesting. Kenneth Anger wanted to get a little bit more involved, but he wrote the last forward, the forward for my last book, and inadvertently passed away. The book was Tome of Infinite Darkness. It was something that was put out by Macaulay and Knopf out of New York. And oddly enough, Macaulay and Knopf operate out of the Trump Tower. So they published this satanic book and it's in stores and things, and we were like, oh, why did they do that? And how did he get that done? And so on. So it was quite interesting to see this book get published out of the evil tower of Satan. So yeah, it's just the Sanctum of the Morning Star to me is just going next level. I think over time it will start to be where, regular attendance will be happening and regular weekly occurrences will be happening. But right now it's strictly very much, oh yeah, I have to say, a secret society. There are people that are involved in it that want to stay secretive. It, it, it's it's not like a temple of Set or no, Temple of Set is different, but it's not like the Temple of Satan, which is, in my opinion, has nothing to do with our path or anything. They have actually hijacked what we are as our beliefs, and they've turned it into a adversarial political action group, which is boring ad nauseum times 10. It's just so tired. I don't care about these sheep. I don't care about the politics of the sheep. I want the power. I want more money. I want my new Jaguar. I'm not kidding. Like I literally have a fleet of cars, and I don't even know what to do with them all. People give me cars. It's just ridiculous. I mean, they give me stuff. They give me people that are involved in this. I hate to say it's not an elitist money club either. Okay. Let me get off that trip for a minute. There are also some very down to earth carpenters and workers. And I'm a worker bee too, you know, just because I choose to, just indifferently, as I said, investing and so on. But there are some very down to earth, very poor people involved as well who are just as powerful. They just have, just as powerful. Just because someone has money doesn't make them powerful. I have seen down in New Orleans, a woman in Thibodeau, outside of Thibodeau in a swamp, be able to just snap her fingers and put her enemies down like nothing. Now, she doesn't have a pot to pee in, okay? Broke as anything, but connected. You know what I mean? That's the connection, and that's the connection you need. That's all you need. When you've got that kind of power and no one can step on you, and it doesn't, the money thing is good because it insulates you from a lot of problems, but also having no money does too. You can, have a lot of issues, and if you don't have a lot of money, there's not a lot going to be banging on your door if you have a door to bang on, but it doesn't matter. Um, so there's an entire spectrum that is involved in the sanctum of the morning star. The rich or the poor or whatever it is, that part of it is there. And then also, you know, the spectrum of different belief systems. Like you can be into witchcraft, you can be into um, Crowleyism, you can be into Gnosticism, you can be into just about any occult path, and still be a part of our Luciferian adventure, um, because it's a non really binding thing. People follow what they want to follow, but it is occult based. I don't really accept, or me personally, or other people, we have nothing to do with Islam, and really we have nothing to do with Christianity or any of the other daytime religions that are out there that I find that are hugely destructive to mankind's existence. Um, the thing about the sanctum of the morning star is that you can basically believe anything you want to believe, but you have to exhibit that you have real power. And if you don't have real power, probably not going to be a member of this particular thing. Like I've seen some pretty intense stuff from people that have just displayed things, psychically, and they say, well, I'm going to come and visit you in your dreams, and they really do. It's like, whoa, okay, you passed the test. you know and it's a very fun place as well. But yeah, that's basically Sanctum of the Morning Star. It's located between five separate cities on the border of Ohio and Indiana. So you have Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, and Chicago. So all of these cities circle it. And I purposely positioned the initial place to have that kind of population existence in it. And it's also in a safe zone. There's a lot of things you got to look at, like a safe zone, meaning that you're not going to have outcry from the neighborhood. You're not going to have outcry or danger. You've got a solid police force in the area. You have solid freedom of religion in the area. You know, my friend Michael Ford, he started a Luciferian order in Texas. Great idea. He got a lot of publicity, which I don't really want to have had. I don't want it because I don't want things now yet. There's got to be a little bit more time going by. I want to be a little bit more established. I don't want to be messed with. A couple of things that Mr. Ford didn't do, he didn't get established with the government, which is very crucial because that piece of paper really gives you a lot of power. But whereas a lot of groups don't get that, like the Temple of Satan didn't get it for years. They couldn't get it. Well, the reason why is because they're not really a religious organization. Technically, they're just a political action group that is now taxing them. They really are not entitled to it. There's no practice going on there. And very similar to Scientology, that's a sci-fi Ponzi scheme in a lot of ways. There's no real religion going on there, and the government really looks at it. You think, oh, the government rubber stamps stuff? They don't. They look at these groups and they gave them a hard time, and they just kept going and petitioning. And I mean, it took them. I think it took the Temple of Satan like a decade, and it took the Scientology and law 25 years, and it got revoked, and then another whatever. I don't know the dance. But for me, I got it right away, and it's going to stay in place. But Mr. Ford, who I highly respect, um, and this is no slight against him whatsoever, just to make that clear. Um, he started this. He started his own order. He got a lot of publicity. Fox News and so on approached him, and he was getting stuff. But then all of a sudden, he's getting death threats, and he's not registered with the government, and he has a rental space, and he's getting rocks through the window. He's getting people trying to attack him, and there are crazies that are coming after him, thinking, "Oh, I hear your voice," and it's not safe. So I learned from what he did. I learned from what he did kind of not what to do. And there's another book that's a book separate from Mr. Ford's experience, but a book by Yamalis, who was a member of the Church of Satan. He kind of laid out some stuff about how to start a satanic group. And I borrowed from his ideas too on what to do and what not to do. So right now, the Sanctum of the Morning Star is secure, which I want, safe and sound, and no drama. No rocks through the window, no hate, no whatever. Although I did get some, and I know I keep bringing them up, and this will be the last time that I'll try to bring them up. I got some nonsense, like when I held an event from the Temple of Satan, and that's what really kind of put me on their radar, put their radar on my radar. I didn't give them a 2 cents a time a day until I was holding an event and they were like downing it, like they were attacking me. Like, we're all in this. If you're real, like if you were to hold an event, Aleister, I would support it. Or if even as someone who I didn't really know, but felt that they were, in the same line as us, I'd promote it too. But these people were like actively on message boards and saying a bunch of lies and trying to turn, like they're jealous. And I'm like, what in the heck is wrong with you? I mean, it was almost like I have to get my lawyer out because they literally like they did some slanderous stuff and they were talking bad about a lot of people that were involved in my group. And I'm like, like the one woman who's a Jewish woman, who's a staunch Luciferian, very dark. They were calling her a Nazi, like, oh, there's Nazis attending. This is so tired. No one would even know what a Nazi is if it kicked them in the head. Nazism is a political thing that is so boring, that stole so much from the occult, stole everything from the occult, from Madame Blavatsky, and it just wrecked a lot of shit. And I mean, it codified it into political action, which is so boring. But that's the last I'll say of it, and that's what really put them on my radar as to, like, wow, they're attacking my group. And then I heard they attack other groups as well, which is just so stupid, because we're all in this together. It's very small. There may be 10,000 people in the world that really take this seriously at any given time, because people are dying all the time, or they may take it serious for a minute now, and Boyd Rice is an example of that. One minute he'll take it seriously, and he's written some books actually recently on the Church of Satan and so on, and he's written some other things. He seems to be taking it serious now, but in other times he hasn't. So that's quite interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I was reading your Satanic Paradigm, and the foreword is actually by Stanton LaVey, who is the grandson of Anton LaVey, and that was written in 2009. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Stanton LaVey at that time was a few years out from his 666 event that he held out in Los Angeles. He was very popular at that time out in Los Angeles, to the angst of the Church of Satan. And so in about the 999 period, I was writing the Satanic Paradigm, and I was in contact with Stanton, and I asked him to do the foreword for the book, and he did, and that was very nice. And then he had some rough times after that. Seemed like there was a lost period that really entered his life from that time. But I had been in touch with Stanton for quite a long time, even into his lost period, up until his death, actually. And it's kind of tragic what happened to him. I know too much. And um, Stan and my connection was Anton LaVey. I mean, I was in correspondence with Anton LaVey during the last period, during the last times of his life, from 95 to 97. I was a member of the Church of Satan, and I still am, or was, but Gilmore threw me out, which he's thrown out so many others who he says, if you believe in actual satanic entity, you're no longer a member of our atheistic group, which is not what the Anton was even talking about. But this isn't a slam on them or a slam. This is just strictly the tale to be told. During the last days of LaVey, his relationship with Diane LaVey had come into a divorce. The divorce had literally wiped out Anton LaVey's holdings. He lost all of it. He lost power over the Black House. He lost the power over the Satanic Bible. He lost a lot of things in this divorce that had been lingering and in the background. The house itself, the Black House, was falling into great, great disrepair. He was in touch with Marilyn Manson, and Blanche Barton was actively in his life at that time as well, and pregnant with a child. During that time, pregnant with Anton LaVey's child. And so there was a lot of financial problems that were erupting. The house in San Francisco was not in good space. The city was coming down on them. he was looking to have Marilyn Manson sort of possibly because he had been surging at that time to put up some money and so on. And he was also requesting of Boyd Rice to take over the Satanic Church, the Church of Satan, and so on. Boyd Rice was on the fence with it at the time. He didn't know if he really wanted to, which he didn't, and he regrets that. I think to this day. I don't know if he regrets it or not. He's kind of a whimsical person, but I do know that what actually happened was tragic. The Marilyn Manson aspect of the situation withdrew, although he's an avid collector of anything Anton LaVey, and we can get into that in a minute. But he withdrew and he said no. They didn't really need a lot of money. I think they needed maybe 20,000 to fix the house up, to bring it to code, to keep it into a space, and maybe turn it into a museum that you and I would go to, right? And everybody else in the world. So, to have a black house still in existence in San Francisco would be amazing. But that wasn't to be. And what happened was the money was gone. Anton LaVey died. He was over in 97 after 2 years of struggle trying to get the house back in order. Marilyn Manson was gone. Blanche Barton had somehow, they were finagling, still a little bit left with the divorce, had power of the Church of Satan itself and the Satanic Bible. She had those two things, and a lot of his possessions and so on went to Diane, who inadvertently left him to Stanton. So everything LaVey went to Stanton into his um, storage space because Diane loved Stanton. Diane loved Stanton LaVey. It was her grandson. She loved him. Did not like so much Xena, although I think they reconciled toward the end, and so on. And there were some things going on because Stanton really did not like his mother over the fact that he had learned that she had been cursing Anton, had been trying to derail him, destroy him at that time. And I'm telling, this is a truism. It's widely known. She even admits it, and they sent some open letter to the Temple of Set about it, that said that, oh, we're going to bring the end of it because she was jealous she didn't get to be the manager of the Church of Satan. And maybe that was a bad idea. Maybe she should have. Maybe she, who knows. But anyway, house gets taken by the city. They immediately demo it. They demo the house. Blanche is in the wind. Gilmore, who was a member of the Church of Satan, kind of just really staunch atheistic character, approached Blanche, or Blanche approached him. It may have all happened at once. He said, I want to buy it all. And Blanche wanted you just out. She needed money. She was having a kid, or had a kid, who ended up being Xerxes, the son of Anton. It was like, yeah, I need money. So they came to some kind of negotiation, and Gilmore bought it all, bought all the rights to everything, bought the Church of Satan, bought the book, and the book stayed with Avon and stayed in publication, which is huge. And that makes him step above, because getting that is what made them. That's what made them. Getting the book out and physically published and physically in bookstores is what's huge, because you can now even be just an online whatever in the milieu of the vastness of the occult books, and end up selling 5 copies. This is a book that sells on average 1 million copies a year, so it's quite a feat. The Church of Satan's Satanic Bible is quite a book to it's formidable and still is. And he has the power over it, which is incredible. But then she moves up into Northern California. Xerxes, 20 years goes by. Xerxes changes his name. They had always said, "Oh, he's going to take it over." No, he wants nothing to do with it. He opens a skate shop and disappears. And Blanche comes out every now and then and does a few little things. And so does Carla. Carla tried to have her occult group come to, and they do a little bit, but very minuscule. So, and then in the interim, then you have Stanton, who has all of Anton's stuff, his books, his writings, his secret stuff, stuff that was in a safe. They found he has pictures, he has everything, right? Drawings. Well, Marilyn Manson got him hooked on some stuff. They got him hooked and just started pilfering out. And Marilyn Manson just started buying everything he could off Stanton, that is LaVey. And a lot now of LaVey is with Marilyn Manson, who is even right now having a hard time holding on to what he has. So it's a weird thing that's all happened. And Stanton started surging towards the last part of his life because I think he was able to beat some of the drug addiction that he was facing, and his wife was really helping him. And now I think she's more active than ever, doing things, which is great. But Stanton's death was the catalyst behind her doing a lot of stuff, which I think she, is great. But he died eventually once he got from uh, settlement money from his grandmother. When Diane died, Diane left him a fortune of cash, a lot of money. And it's like he had just been in the throes of addiction. He had just almost kicked it or kicked it. And then, it's like giving a pile of fire to fire. So that's what ended his life. He died that way. So, but now that's the story of Stanton. So quite interesting in it how it all unraveled those last days of LaVey, and how all these other strangers ended up with stuff that didn't really have anything to do with it. It's odd.
Absolutely. So I read that you mentioned Satan wants to awaken mankind to its true inherent nature. What is that nature?
Well, mankind is inherently evil. We are not, in my opinion, a good race. We are in denial of the fact that we are devourers and very dangerous and extremely dark creatures. We try to portray ourselves as, I'm a good guy and I'm this and that, but we're not. That's why we have to cordon ourselves with law. We have to build around ourselves the boundaries of law to control this savage. Mankind's nature is inherently evil, and I want to, through Satanism as my philosophical exploration, awaken mankind to itself, to know that that evil is innate, that it can be lawful, meaning that it can flow in a lawful space, not be barbaric, and not be in the lower rungs of it. Now, there are all different levels of evil. You have these horrible people that do horrible things to people. That's no part of it. That's the lower rung evil that needs to be ridden out of our existence. The higher end aspects of our evil are the catalysts, the motivators, the lightning strikes, the psychopaths that are not sleeping, but they're thinking up, the way to go from, teleporting from one room to another, this kind of thing. And that's what evil is going to do for us. War, and this is a part of it as well. because it really manifests and it shows what kind of evil we are and how we can galvanize and build under strain. Because we have a great capacity to do great amounts of evil in short amount of time, which just can just be so frenetic and so powerful and create so many things. You know, they say, oh, darkness is not a maker. It really is. Darkness is a maker. You know, not a lot comes from, floaty, lighty, sitting under a tree. I mentioned this before, oh, let the day go by, we're just in South Carolina and we'll just watch the water run around or what. That is not man. That is not, that is man in his contentment protected by the boundaries of law. And maybe he has the money to do that, but it's going nowhere. Man is often motivated by getting down into his dark, evil animism nature, and just running with it. Be like, have something of an obsession and make something of it, like what they've done, AI married to a quantum computer, which is going to create a super robot which will replace us. So therein we are gods now because we've created something greater than ourselves. We can load in AI something, give them a brief interlude, and it writes us a whole tapestry of things. It's thinking, you know. So that all came out of our satanic prescience and our satanic nature. But we are creators, and now we have been surpassed by our creation. Just like when we were created, we surpassed our creator. And now that's how we evolve. So our satanic prescience is evolving and we are ever ongoing. So yeah, man's inherent nature, all men are created evil. There's no doubt about it. And it's a matter of how those lawful or so on levels of it exist because it's a hierarchy. You know, we're lawful meaning that we stay within the bounds of law and we stay within our frame because if we go out of that frame, and that can happen due to a Holocaust, in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be chasing each other around trying to eat each other like Easter Island. It'll just be awful. No grid, no water, weapons, and a will to survive. That's a bad combination for everyone in the world. Those it's just that'll be so primal. That's all it is. That's what it really comes down to. And unfortunately, I think in our lifetime we're going to see that. We're probably going to see some form of rudimentary apocalypse. I don't know. It's nice to think that it will be avoided forever. But I was shocked by the actions of Vladimir Putin, and he falls into the Rasputin line, which is Rasputin, and he's related to all that occult connection. I would, but that's expected, and I hope he's not. I hope he's not crazy enough. But he's also named his nuclear weapon Satan, Satan One. There's indications now that I'm seeing that I hope that don't come about. I don't want nuclear war, but there are some things happening in 2025 that I didn't expect. Oh my.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So part of your background is in quantum physics. How did you go into that area?
Well, I started having, after certain levels of mathematics, visions of different math in my head. So I was like looking at a lot of the V structures in calculus and structuring and how a 45-minute problem can be codified down to 5 minutes. So I was just beating time, and I was finding that through this mathematic calculus there were these lines, okay, that really you didn't need to go through every single computation, that I could just look at it and say, wait, this is just the flow, and you can end at 6, or this is the flow, and you can, you know what I mean? It was like I could look at a long problem and then all of a sudden start to see through it, and that's what drew me into it. So then I said, this is quantum. This is there is a straight line driven through our reality that I think we could just break into. I mean, the obviously the weapon is one thing. That's a very primitive way to do it, but I think there's a way through seeing in these mathematical things that I was seeing and figuring out that, hey, there's a door here, that there could be a way to getting into the other. There has to be more than one angle dimension going on at once. So that's how I got into it. Not to get too long-winded, but that's how I got into it. And then I studied it, and it also started to fall into place that we are in a multi-dimensional existence. It had a lot to do with different string theories and so on. And then I developed the Satanic Singularity from that, that we are merging, that we are all converging and all merging, and we're evolving into our machines, that we are evolving into our satanic super consciousness. So it's all happening because through AI, through quantum computing, through robotics, through nanocellular technology, and even getting this down into a liquid form, and introducing this into our bloodstream, we could become cyber, satanic organisms, and we possibly could just live forever. We could just build organisms within ourselves from all of this different science, satanic science, and clean our blood and be anew, and become one with our satanic source, because Satan is awakening us to ourselves, and he's doing that through these great scientific feats. So, and quantum reality has everything to do with that too, because I foresee a time when quite possibly we will be able to just figure that out. Okay, so from this math, let's bring it off the board and see if we can create a device that can open up this gate, open up different dimensional portals to other places. Because I don't think we travel along space. I think there's a folding going on and a moving through, or a or a transmigration where it's very similar to breaking down our whole cellular code and sending it out and so on. These are all just theories, but science fiction often becomes science fact. But that's what I explore in the quantum physics. Went and studied it in school, and then study it all the time on my own. And then I merged that with my philosophy and the philosophy in general. So the background is philosophy and quantum physics. And I love philosophy. People that are devoid of philosophy without out of their lives are very empty people, in my opinion. Because I mean, Marcus Aurelius, the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius is amazing, you know, or any of it. And all of them, they're just spectacular. Even the Stoics, the Stoicism, you know, there was one poet, or no, he was a philosopher who used to walk around all day with a lantern, and he would walk around, and people would ask him, why are you, it's broad daylight out. Why are you walking with a lantern? He's like, I'm looking for truth. I'm looking for truth. Or another one who would pray to a stone golem thing. And people would be like, why are you praying to this stone? Because and he would say, well, I'm finding the heart of man. This is man. This is how hard man is. He's just a piece of stone when he wants to be. And figuring that out. And then, and then I developed my own, which is very, nihilism, like forgiveness is weakness, in my opinion. I think vengeance is a virtue. You absolutely need to take revenge, or you're just, it's just going to fester within your heart. You can let it go, it's true, but there's certain things you can't let go. Um, the Luciferian endures; he lives forever, and the king is often forgotten, and the he never really wields the dagger. He's always got someone else behind the scenes. So, you know, I don't know. There's a lot going on. There's just so much. And in 2025, it's accelerated a lot faster than I thought. And we're definitely going to see some changes by 2033. And by 2050, we're going to be a totally different species. Absolutely different.
Interesting. That is very interesting. So, you have been involved in helping law enforcement with missing persons. How do they
Mhm.
view your beliefs, and how has that actually happened that you come to work with them?
Well, this happened mostly on the East Coast, and I had seen some missing persons reports and different things, and I approach them and say, hey, I kind of have a feeling on this one that he's in some road, some road that starts with a D, intersecting at certain number 1300 something blah blah, and don't know why, but I do, and they would sort of figure it out. They're like, oh, this is Danemark Road and 1300 Danemark Road, and that's where our suspect lives. Let's go pay attention. Let's go see what's going on, and then they go in and find this missing person. So it was like, and then they were like, wow, and I would get some petty reward or something. And I liked the money, it was interesting getting the reward. So I did it a few more times, and I even was getting up there. It was like even the FBI had found some interest and so on. But you know, I don't do it too much now because they're just mostly just idiots. They're jerks. They started viewing me as a suspect. Too many questions, too much. See, it's when you deal with that kind of thing, which actually for me is not very hard. It's very simple. It'll just be a few little things which will make it all fall together. Like, okay, I see a skull in the woods. I can see a wood sign. Something park. What am I seeing? Stradivarian Park or something. They're like, oh, you mean Statesville something park? And then they'll go run out there, find the body of this person who's been missing or whatever. But then they go, oh, wait a second, how's this guy know this? What's this all about? And you know, and and judges too are like really not very friendly towards it. It's like they were like one time, oh, we're not gonna pay you the $5,000 reward or whatever. I'm like, I'm out of this. And then they would call. This was several years ago, by the way. And they'd call and beg and, oh, please help us. This is something happened. And I would look into it just privately and be like, yeah, I see what's going on. There's some weird house and a girl got shoved down the stairs, and you can see stuff play out. And I'm like, no, I'm not helping you anymore because you're not good people anyway. And no one is, as I've said, but these people are not good. They're not. They wear the good guy badge, but 50% of all murder goes unfound. And they're always looking for the easy answer. They're never in front of anything. They're always behind it. They're cleanup crews. Here, I'm sorry if I'm insulting people, but it's just there. You'll find that you go if you interact the way I did with them, you'll see that it's just not worth your time. It wasn't. It was interesting when it goes on, out from the sidelines, I'll see something like on a crime thing. I'm not really big into the crime thing anymore. I was. It was a phase. But I'll see one every now and then, and I'll concentrate on it, and through certain things that are fed. Um, I do have to have some things fed to me, ironically. It's not just some like cold reading and, oh, I could see. No, I need to have a few little clues and typically that's how it works. I run a lot of this is 90% charlatanism anyway, and I've got nothing to prove. But I see a lot of it in New Orleans. I spend a lot of time down there. I see a lot of charlatanism. But with a few little clues about the crime, I can pretty much kind of solve it. I can figure out what happened, who people were what people did what, and kind of, see kind of how it all played out. It's kind of interesting.
Very, very interesting. So, tell us a little bit about your experience with Bohemian Grove.
It's a boys' club. Um, it's not as popular as it was. I've been there. You have to be invited by someone who is in a corporate job, and at that time I was, so I went there, and it's very much just a hedonistic um, party of evil. All of what you hear pretty much is true. I mean, it can be an anything goes club. They have a giant Moloch owl down there, which is very real. They carry out these elaborate theatrical things there, and despite what many people think, it's not real ritual per se. It's theater. It's just entertainment for the people that are there. Typically they'll have like a little barge and all these really cool outfits, and they'll have high theater people involved. Like they even have some that are recorded from the past. Like they'll get major actors, they'll pay them, and you'll see a major actor like in a play out there. They have a lot of money, and they say no weaving spiders come this way, which means you're not allowed to talk about business. But wink, wink, everybody does, and everybody has a deal by the end of it. Yeah, you can go ahead and drill on this land, and yeah, okay, we're gonna give you the permits for your 500 condos you want to do, and yeah, you can. It's a business club, and it's a boys' club, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of hedonism, a lot of sex, very pretty girls, um, and it's very isolated. A lot of theater, um, and it is elitist. It is the closest thing to what you could call an Illuminati. Um, they don't say they're Illuminati per se, but when you're in that elitist aspect of things, and all these people have so much money, or they're connected through corporate stuff, that it's just a club that if you're Fortune 500, oh yeah, you come on in and join and so on. But that's pretty much what it is. A lot of people want to say, oh, no, they're getting down and they're really, they're going to sacrifice a child and all this. None of that goes on. They do it all in what I want to say is like fakery and theater, bringing a knife down on plastic dolls and stuff like this. No one's being murdered. Although, I don't know. I don't know. These people are saints. So I don't know about that. Maybe I need to withdraw that. I mean, some of these people are very much capable of having murder done for them, or If someone needs to be, in their way, I'm sure they're like, hey, we got to get rid of Bill. Bill's kind of asking too many questions. He's not playing ball. We need to get this through, and Bill may need to get going. And it's not just, oh, Bill gets fired and a severance. And no, he can't be around to talk about our plans, and he might have to suffer an accident. That shit goes on. That's what these people are very much capable of. They are capable of wiping people out. But other than that, it's mostly for Bohemian Grove. It's very pretty, the redwoods and all that, and I mean it's very, very nice. But it's just a boys like fancy club thing, really. I know someone wanted to hear something different, and that they're all Satanists. They're not. These people are just, they worship the almighty dollar, God money.
They love mammon.
God money, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they worship.
So there are things going on in the world right now that are absolutely crazy, and they're devastating for humanity, and they're appalling. What are your thoughts on Zionism?
Is Zionism, I really haven't really looked into that. I guess it has some kind of connection with another elitist group, or a concept of Judaism being, on the march, that they want to rule. They work amongst themselves and shell out everybody else or something. Um, I don't really give it much concern. My real concern is Islamism. Islam is the real threat to our existence. Islam will kill us, Aleister. Islam is real. They will burn us in a cage. If they got a hold of us, and if they were real Islamists, and they know who we are, there are dangerous people, bro. I'm not kidding. They will kill the satanic practitioner. Okay. Zionists have no, they're not on my radar. I don't, if they, I'm only concerned about something that really truly threatens our freedom and our existence. It's Islam. It's always been there. Back from the time of Lord Byron when he was fighting against Islam, or Countess Bathory, or Vlad Tepes Dracula. These people knew that Islam was the real threat, and they stood up and they fought and they killed them and they destroyed them. And they need that Islam needs to be eradicated from the face of the earth. That is our real threat. They don't want our freedom. They want us to live in rubble, to worship that Quran, and they'll shove it down our throat. Now, this isn't racism. This isn't attacking a person based on who they are, or if they're a different skin color. I'm attacking the ideology of Islam. Islam is bad. Islam is a serious threat to our personal freedom and the ways of existence within America and the ways of existence within the world. Many examples, as you already know. Look what they've done to all those different people when ISIS was on the march. A girl had a ripped up Quran in her backpack. They stoned her to death. They treat women like cattle. They openly rape them. They sell and do whatever illicit things they want to do because they believe that they're greater, that Allah Akbar, our God is the greatest. We are the greatest. We are pure. They go around and they wear these banners of hatred, and they're a serious threat to any freedom loving satanic person out there. They're not good. The ones that are here in the United States that are fallen into the ideology, they're into the lawful evil. They have to obey the law as we do. So our law protects and cordons off ourselves from these crazed lunatics. Um, I just I see the threat 1,000 miles away, and if anything is going to end the world, it will be them. They will, if they had the capacity to bring about destruction, they would do it. If they had nuclear weapons, they would use it. They have no bearing. They think that they're elitist. That's why their countries are in rubble. They keep them that way, and there's no education, and the women are sold, the children are sold, and they despise anything to do with Arum, which is their opposite. Arum is the opposite of Allah. Arum is our person. Arum is the oldest form of evil next to Pazuzu on planet Earth. He was the first initiated into darkness. He was the first that was gifted. Then Allah was always a threat, oppositions, as we have our ridiculous oppositions and with Christianity or Satan against Jesus or something. That's all nonsense. No, the real threat is the Islamists and Zionism. People have a problem with it. They get perked up and they think, "Oh, I'm being worked against or something." I mean, I know that there's been so much false propaganda utilized by, again, political factions within communism and fascism that have used Zionism as some kind of tool, but it's not a threat. I don't even know if it's even real. The real threat is Islam. They take it over the streets in Detroit. There's no go zones. You try to walk down the street, you got four bullies standing in front of you going, "You're not allowed to go down this road. You're not allowed to walk down the street." And the police don't do anything about it. Or you go into certain other areas of different cities, they control it. Their mosque is there. They have cops there that they pay. And they go, "You can't come in here. You're not Islam. You're not swear allegiance to Islam, you come in." Oh, and I've run into that. Once you experience it, once you go into a no-go zone where they're like, "You can't," I'm like, "No, this is America." But then again, you don't want to shoot somebody or get in a battle, so you just avoid it. Because literally, when I ran into it, I was in the bus station and I had to cross around. I wanted to go to a bookstore in Detroit, and most of Detroit services are dead. The city is like a dead city. The streetlights don't work, and the police don't come, and it's extremely dangerous. But I had to cross around. I was catching another bus coming out of Toronto, coming down from Canada, and so on. And you come through Detroit when you come through, and I ran into a no-go zone. So that's how I found out about that. How wow, even in America, I guess Sharia law is taking over.
Wow. That's scary. Scary.
Yep.
So, do you mind if people contact you? And if so, what is the best way to do that?
They can contact me through the Sanctum of the Morning Star website or just at wolfloki@yahoo.com. It's just wolfloki@yahoo.com. Or any innumerable ways on the internet. There's so many ways to reach me. I'm active on Facebook and Instagram. I'm a social person, but I'm not anything more than that. I'm just a social person. So feel free to reach out if you want. People can query about stuff. If you got an event that's interesting, would like to know about it. I'm always looking to network with people. Um, I'm definitely interested in making money. So, if someone wants to do a film, we can do films. I write films avidly. I can write a screenplay in a week. I work in Hollywood. I work with over 165 different platforms on the Discovery Network, as well as some with Disney. Not too much though, right now with Disney, but some other platforms. So if someone is seeking to maybe put together some films or something, but it will require, there's always some money factor with that. But people already know that. But yeah, please, anyone who wants to reach out, I'm still alive and I plan on it. So, I plan on it, and they can feel free to reach out, and that'd be great. And as long as they don't ramble on too much.
No, it's absolutely great. And I'm going to put all of your social media contacts in the description so that people know how to get in touch with you. So
Great. Thank
the final question I have for you is, what advice do you have for someone new to the left-hand path? They're just starting out. They're trying to find their way. There's so much noise out there in the social space. What advice do you have for them?
you. It's about finding your own intuitive voice. And that comes from just a nice full moon in any month of the year when you're comfortable to go out alone under the moonlight and get turn off all your social media or turn off your telephone, leave it all away, go out totally clean, totally free, and your mind with your wand or with your tools or accoutrements or anything you're comfortable with, but bring nothing of the world with you, and let your voice be heard or found with just in a nature setting or by a water setting or anything, but away from everyone, a rooftop, away from everyone, away from all of it, and let your voice be heard and resonate, and the left hand path will speak to you. It will find you if you are worthy. You will just, if you resonate with that and you allow yourself to be completely cut off, it's very hard. It's very hard to leave your phone at home and very hard to cut yourself off now, especially because we're so growing into our machines that the addiction soon will be a unity. But it's not going to affect that. There will be still a switch. There will still be a way that you can just turn off and find your voice within the left hand path and just let it flow. And if it's there for you, you'll find it in a wilderness setting, in an incantation, a rooftop, away from all things, and just a few hours. And you'll feel the energies. You'll feel if you're summoning and calling forth, and you're totally, genuinely, unifying with that dark current, it's going to do things for you. And from there, it will just stepping stone on. You'll be able to start to see that, hey, I'm bending reality to my will. I made a few hundred extra dollars. I don't know how, or this fell into my lap. And things will start to work your way. The world is wicked. The world is the left hand path. The universe is darkness incarnate. You are darkness incarnate. And you're just unifying with that voice, unifying with that current, and all things will fall into place because it is the innate nature and the innate power that we are flowing in. And then once you're in that flow, there's no longer any question. You move with the flow. You move in the whole sequence of events as they occur, and you can change time and you'll hear different things. You'll know to go left when you need to go right, or go right when you need to go left. It'll tell you things, it'll help you. But that's what you need to do if you're just starting out. You got to let go of everything else and just see if this is for you. And it may not be. You may experience something that is very terrifying. And that if you're experiencing that terror, then this path is not for you. If you find that your conditioning is too strong to overcome, because we are conditioned in this society, and you can't really truly release it, and you feel that your voice that you're hearing is not really a good one, then maybe you just need to back off, and this may not be for you, because the darkness is a current that is very destructive. It is not safe. It is not a place for just the mild hearted or the person that just wants to dabble. It can be very, very dangerous, and it will take you down. I've seen it. I've seen people take it half heartedly, or they never really establish their voice, and you can misstep and find yourself underneath the truck, and you'll be dead. You'll be decapitated, because that's the will of it. It's not a good thing. It wants to know you're real for it, that you live for it, that you were in the flow. That because black magic tests the mettle of the magician, tests the will of the magician all the time. There are always times of strife, despair, anguish. Those times are more. We fail more than we succeed. We may take legal action that goes nowhere. Things happen. These things are all a part of the play and power and that we strive for. Life is also interconnected with this, and it's not perfect. Nothing is ever given. We must take. Everything is taken. It's not given. It's not a good space. So just be aware of that dark side to it as well. But that's something to be discovered by the new person entering it. And as they get into it, they'll find that they may have some successes, and then they have some failures. But these failures are meant for something. And you have to know that you've got to learn from these failures in order to push past even the success you had. Because it's a give and take situation. It's testing you. It's like, okay, give him this, and then rip him back twice as hard and see if he can overcome that. And then it just becomes the flow of satanic consciousness.
Very, very interesting. You've given us a lot to chew on and a lot to think about, and I certainly do appreciate that.
No problem.
Winter Lake, thank you so much for being here tonight. And for all of you that are watching, thank you for being here tonight. I hope you get something out of this. This is certainly an educational experience with a lot of gnosis and a lot of revelation in that. So take that and incorporate it, make it yours. Until next time, this has been Aleister Nacht. Ave Satanas.
Ave Satanas.